Suikoden Star Leap came out in Japan, the reviews are out, and the reviews are good! Remember whenever I told y'all that Suikoden Star Leap was gonna be good? And I kept on singing its praises, saying, hey, this looks great, and all that kind of stuff. But then I read all these comments, people looking at me like I'm cross-eyed and crazy. They're like, no, it's mobile gacha, it's gonna be terrible, I'm not gonna play it, ugh, this sucks. Well, the gacha is not necessary. Yeah, at all. This is what I've been saying. It's essentially a free game. No gacha necessary at all. Great. So that sounds good to me. What's better than a great game? A free great game. Yeah. This is wonderful as far as I am concerned. And I want to tell you all about what the Japanese people are saying, the reviews, all that kind of stuff. And that's totally worth a sub as you come and you join a party and you level on up with me. Thank you so much for your sub, your like, and your brand new hype. It helps me out a ton. So, we've been waiting for a new Suikoden game for a long time. The series pretty much disappeared after Suikoden 5. Then Konami came out of nowhere. Well, actually, they came out of Ayuden Chronicle. They saw the hype and the excitement for that, and they were like, you know what? Let's go back to Suikoden. We're going to put out the Suikoden 1 and 2 HD remaster, and then that was their first step, and their first step succeeded. So now they're on their second step. The second step is the Suikoden 2 anime and this brand new Suikoden Star Leap, which is a mobile RPG with gacha, but the gacha is not necessary. Woo freaking who. This came out in Japan on August the 7th, and it immediately climbed to the top 10 highest downloaded apps in Japan as well. And we're looking at comments like, hey, I'm sorry I doubted you. This is a real Suikoden game. Hey, this actually feels like a real Suikoden game. One player even went in and said that they've been playing for almost 17 hours, haven't had to spend a single solitary dime, and they still haven't finished the main story. Another player went in and they were like, hey, I thought that I was done, I thought that it wrapped up, but then a whole other story arc started. You can think like Octopath Traveler 0. You know, if you're playing that game and you think that you're done and then, whoa, there's so much more. And you're like 60 hours and you're like, am I done yet? No, here's another 30 hours on top of that. That is the game that keeps on going, and it looks like Suikoden Star Leap is very similar to that. As far as the story is concerned, it's interesting. It takes place after Suikoden 5, but before Suikoden 1, and it starts with this little teenage, bright-eyed, and bushy-tailed hero. He's a little hunter for his village. He comes back from the hunt, but then his village is attacked and burned to the ground, of course. So him and his little friends set out to get revenge and restore the village and all that kind of stuff. But that obviously pulls them into greater world events around the Scarlet Moon Empire, as well as coming across the Rune of Change, which is one of the 27 true runes out there. So we're actually getting some of the mysteries solved in this entry as well, because we get a whole new true rune that we've heard about, but we don't know anything about. And we also get to learn about the Sindar. The Sindar has been there. They've been like this nomadic tribal group. They're an ancient civilization. We've seen their lost technology and their ancient ruins and everything else like that. We don't really know much about them. We know that they're really important, but we don't know anything about them. But this is going to focus on the Sindar and really dig deep into that. And also, there's some time traveling elements too. You know, you're leaping, star leap into different times as well. Leap into different eras or even continents or lands or nations. Leap all around the world, and you get to meet up with all sorts of different characters that we've seen in Suikoden 1 and 2 and other games like Victor, Flick, Odessa, George, all that kind of stuff. It's really, really cool. I'm really, really liking that. Now, I've got to say, there is gacha in the game. I'm not going to pretend like it doesn't exist, but I don't know about y'all. If I ever play a gacha game, you play the game, but then I'm playing the second game. And the second game is, how far can I get into this gacha game before I have to spend any money? And the second that I hit that point where I'm like, oh, I actually have to spend a cent, an actual penny, I have to spend 1 coin. No, turn it off. uninstall, done. Like, that's my second game that I play. I play the game of how far can I possibly get till I actually have to open up my wallet, and then I don't open up my wallet, and I turn it off. So I know that I will not be using the gacha whatsoever. You know what I'm going to be getting? I'm going to be getting a great game for free and not spending a dime on the gacha. So yeah. Then I also came across a review from a guy. He actually got the game early, and he played it through 50 hours of the game. He said he made it to the end of the actual story. So the actual story thus far is 50 hours worth of content, which is, you know, the length of a Suikoden game. It's actually on the longer end of a Suikoden game, actually, because 1, 2, and 4 are rather short. 3 and 5 are pretty long, though. So yeah, pretty long. And, you know, because it is gacha, they're going to be adding in more and more content. So he goes on, he talks about the stamina system. He says that the main story consumes no stamina. So you can go through and you can play this for hours and hours and hours on end, and you don't just run into any sort of walls or anything else like that. There is a stamina system though, but it's limited to character development, gathering materials for weapon upgrades, and grinding certain sub-content. So you can still play at your own pace. Then he goes on, he says it took him over 20 hours to clear the first chapter alone, and that by itself is like the playtime equivalent to an ordinary RPG, at least Suikoden 1. Then he goes on to talk about how the game actually plays. He says, you know, a lot of these gacha games, it's kind of like visual novel-y, you're just tapping the screen, you're reading the text, you know. That's not the case here. It's 50 hours of exploring towns on his own 2 feet, talking with NPCs, tackling dungeons, and fighting desperate battles with bosses. Then he says, if your playstyle is to thoroughly savor town exploration, small conversations with NPCs, mini-games at the various facilities, and the individual episodes that dig into the characters' backgrounds, then this game has the potential to give you 100 hours or more. Despite being on a smartphone, I can flatly declare that it is a colossal, volume-packed work that doesn't fall the slightest bit short of a big-budget home console RPG. That is so exciting to me, because remember, Konami came out months ago, right after the Suikoden collection came out. After Suikoden 1 and 2 came out, and that exceeded sales expectations. They were blown away by the sales of Suikoden 1 and 2. They were shocked by it. So they were like, okay, well, we're going to put together a plan. Step 1 was Suikoden 1 and 2. Step 2 is the Suikoden anime, and then Suikoden Star Leap. And if 1 and 2 succeed, we will get to Step 3. They didn't give a specific of what Step 3 is. They put out a general gist of it could be a future mainline entry, it could be another remake, it could be another remaster, we don't know. And it could be Suikoden Star Leap coming to consoles. We don't know that either. This would be a great game to play on the Switch. But it is coming to the PC. We do know that, so you can play it on a big screen. I think it's wonderful that, you know, Suikoden 1 and 2 did great. Looks like Star Leap's going to be doing great. The reviews are out. The reviews are saying, hey, this is wonderful. This isn't a cash grab. This isn't some crappy game. This is a good game. So the game will sell, and it will be good on its own 2 feet, which means Step 3 is coming. More Suikoden is coming our way. That's amazing to me. But now I want to hear from you. What do you think about all this news? Let me know down in the comments, and as always, have a good day.